Welcome to SKWAT TAWKS number 5. Tonight we're going to be talking about overtraining. But first let me tell you what you're going to be watching here. Tonight I had a workout. The workout was 8 sets of 30 seconds with 225. And those are done on 4 minutes. So there's 30 seconds and then there's 3 minutes and 30 seconds of rest. And then I repeat that. So of the 8 sets, the first 2 are done slow and smooth, so I get 3 reps each in 30 seconds, so it's very slow and controlled. The next 2 sets are build, so I'll start out smooth and work my way towards a faster pace at the end. I get 6 reps on those. And then the last 4 sets are as many reps as I can get in during the 30 seconds. So they are, quote, fast. They're not particularly fast. I get 8 reps, I think, with 3 of the sets, and I think I get 7 reps with 1 of them. But I'm working as hard as I can, trying to get as many reps in as I can in the 30 seconds. So 8 times 30 seconds of 225. With 3 minutes and 30 seconds in between each of those to recover. I'm working towards trying to feel comfortable with 225 plus. By the end of the year, I'd like to be doing sets with 315 and maybe try to get 315 for 20 sometimes, or early next year is probably the plan for kind of higher rep squatting in the near future. We'll see, but maybe I might give 135 for 300 reps a shot. I'm not sure if I'm up for that, but we'll see. I'm kind of looking towards doing something like that by the end of the year, maybe early next year. Anyway, today but one of the things I'll be avoiding is trying to avoid overtraining. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I don't know if you have ever experienced overtraining or not, but there have been a couple times in my life when I've experienced overtraining. One was when I was 18 and 19 years old. I was in college and I was swimming competitively. We were training twice a day. At the height of the season, I think we were doing something like 19,000 yards a day. And that's, how long is that? I think that's like 11 miles of swimming a day. So yeah, there was a time when I was working really hard, but I found myself overtraining. I kept pushing it because I didn't want to be lazy and I wanted to hit some pretty solid goals, and I found myself in a pretty deep and severe state of overtraining. It wasn't really until after the season was completely over and I'd had a couple months to recover that I started to regain some of that lost fitness from that overtraining. It was a tough time. In the weight room, there have been a couple times when I felt I was really overtrained, and I can attribute that probably to a couple cycles or attempted cycles of Smolov. Usually what would happen, I'd be cruising along for a week, 2 weeks, and I'd feel good, and then by week 3, 4, and 5 I was getting really, really broken down, tired, and eventually injured. So those were my major experiences with overtraining. I think for most of us in the weight room, we've heard that old adage, you can't overtrain, you just undereat. I'm not sure that that's necessarily true, although I do believe that diet plays a huge role in recovery and in growth. To say that there's no such thing as overtraining, I think, is really understating what can happen when you train hard, and when you overreach, and when you continue to overreach and maybe have other stressors in your life. So we're going to break down some things and talk a little bit about symptoms and how maybe you can avoid overtraining in your own life and in your training. So maybe we should make a distinction between hard training, overreaching, and overtraining, hard training hard, is what we do. We train hard, and then we're going to experience a decrease in performance because we worked hard. That's normal. Sometimes that decrease in performance can last an hour, depending on what kind of training you're doing. I mean, it could even be 5 minutes. You might just have a decrease in performance just very briefly until you recover. Might be an hour, might be a couple days. If you're really sore and tired, it could be a few days even. That's hard training. If you're overreaching, you are putting in a training stimulus that your body really can't adapt to. And even with some rest, it's going to require a prolonged rest for you to recover. That's overreaching. Some people would say that overreaching is a necessary part of hard training. That sometimes to break through a plateau that you might need some overreaching. Sometimes you're going to put in some training stimulus that your body can't necessarily adapt to. And then you've gone far enough, and then you back off, and then you hit it again. So that's overreaching. When it gets to the point where your body not only can't adapt to the training stimulus that you're giving it, but it starts to decrease performance significantly, in effect it's detraining you, that is a state of overtraining. And there are a lot of symptoms associated with overtraining. Some of them include weight loss, soreness of the muscles and the joints, loss of appetite, if you have a persistent low-grade head cold, nausea, depression, insomnia, anxiety, low motivation, low libido, lower performance, if you have a higher heart rate even at lower training intensities, if you have lowered economy and technique, if you have reduced flexibility, if you have increased cortisol, if you have a higher resting blood pressure reading, or if you have a higher resting heart rate. These can all be symptoms of overtraining. And what causes this overtraining? Well, I think overreaching is the obvious one, but it doesn't have to necessarily be overreaching for too long only. It can be a combination of things. Maybe you're not sleeping adequately, maybe you're not eating adequately, maybe you have other stressors from family or your professional life that are decreasing your body's ability to adapt from the training. So there are many possible causes of overtraining. One thing associated with overtraining is your body not replenishing glycogen levels between workouts and bouts of exercise. And again, that could be related to your diet. So there certainly is something to that idea that you undereat. So that certainly could be part of it. Staying out late can be part of it too. If you are a young athlete, chances are pretty good when you go to college. There's going to be a lot of temptation out there to go out and drink and hang out too late and maybe not go to bed as early as you were when you were in high school. So it's not probably uncommon to see that be a contributing factor among new college athletes. We hear this story of a high school stud and college dud. I mean, that could certainly be part of it, right? You're out of the parents' home, you're probably not eating as well as maybe you were in high school. Even with training table, you might not be eating as well. And in addition to that, you're going out with your teammates and throwing down a few. I think we all understand that with alcohol, there are costs associated with alcohol. It does affect your ability to metabolize glucose. Again, I'm not a dietitian or an exercise physiologist, but it does affect hormone levels, inflammation in the body. These are all things to kind of consider. I remember years ago watching a video that Adam T. Glass had made. He's a grip athlete, really strong guy. and he was talking to the people that he was working with, and he was saying how he's not against drinking, but that drinking is one of those things that has some costs associated with it besides just recovery. If you go out, for example, on a night on the town, it's not just the money cost, it's also the cost of, you're going to spend hours getting ready to go out and look good. You're going to spend the hours at the bar. And then, after spending all that time, then the next day you might spend a good chunk of that day feeling crappy and just trying to recover from it. That's something that you can handle maybe when you're younger, and it's certainly easier when you're younger, but as you get older, it gets harder and harder. And if you're training hard, that's for sure going to be affecting your ability to recover from those training sessions. When I was in college, I can remember times going out with the team, and the next day we'd be in the weight room training hard, and the weight room would smell like a bar. Why? Because we were sweating out the alcohol that we had ingested the night before. I'm not saying that's a good idea. I'm just relating that as a story. And for sure, alcohol is something to consider in your recovery efforts. All right, so I think that's pretty much all I have on the subject. I guess if I were to tell you, how would you avoid it? Well, eat right, get plenty of sleep, make sure that you're taking time off when needed. If you find yourself in a state of overtraining, you're probably going to start by being irritated, and things are going to start to snowball from there. Look at taking some time off away from training, and hopefully you're going to recover soon or see a doctor. All right, well, thanks for coming out, and I'll see you on the next SKWAT Talks.